Play like a happy kid. All humans are born with some basic programming. We have some basic language wiring, and as we grow up, we kind of fill in the blanks based on the local dialect. This is why any kid born anywhere can grow up and speak like a native. There's probably a lot more basic wiring that becomes more hardwired as we grow up. This debate has been going on for a while, but it's pretty settled, at least from the science guys. But from a political standpoint, either real politicians or people who dream about being power-hungry politicians one day, they pretend this is not settled. Those who dream of being in charge like the idea that we are blank slates. It's easier to imagine being super powerful in a world where everybody's brain is waiting for the right programming. But for the science geeks who study this kind of thing, who we are is very much based on both nurture and nature. In fact, it is impossible to separate these two. We have basic wiring, but then it's kind of filled in as we grow up. But how specifically it gets filled in is something that is still pretty much a mystery, mostly because you can't really study this stuff. You can't actually do any kind of objective experiments on humans. A lot of data that lets them know how our brains work comes from people with messed up brains. A poor dude will come home from a war with some of his brain missing, and then they test him and try to figure out how that affects his thinking. But one thing they can study is how babies act within the first few hours or a couple of days. Baby and mom are in the hospital anyway, so they ask doctors and nurses to look for certain things, and they've come up with some ingenious ways to study how babies are soaking up tons of information from their environment. And one thing they notice is babies start smiling very, very soon, before their eyes and brains even have a clue what's going on. Almost like we have a very deep program that tells us to be friendly to people before we even know what's going on. Kind of like the first impression on Earth instinct. It doesn't take much to make a baby happy. I had a friend who was a kindergarten teacher. She said when they took the kids to the park, it was like magic. The kids were forced to walk single file, stay on the sidewalk, hold hands, etc. But as soon as they went through the park gate, it was like letting a bunch of gas out of a can. One line of kids obediently walking through the park gate. A huge spray of random kids screaming and laughing and running in all different directions on the other side. You can do the same. Be calm and rational in some situations. Be happy, be friendly, and outgoing in others. To learn more, visit mindpersuasion.com/3x3.